This question asks, if the below statement is true, then which other statement must also be true? And what I know about conditional statements, or if P then Q, if then statements, are that if I take the two different pieces of the statement P and Q and I flip them or put them in opposite parts of the sentence structure and put nots in front of them, that makes what's called the contrapositive. And I know the contrapositive, if the statement is true, then the contrapositive is always true. So if the statement if P then Q is true, then the contrapositive if not Q then not P is always true. And so to solve this problem, what I'll do is I will look through and identify my statement, or within my statement, identify the P and the Q part. Then I can go through the four different possible answers and figure out which one is if not Q then not P, which I'll know that one's my contrapositive and it must be true. So here's my statement. If a number has 2 as a factor, that's my P part, if P, then that number must be even, then Q. Okay, let's read through the statements. If a number is not even, well, there's my Q with a not with it. If not Q, that's a good start, because that's what I need for my contrapositive. Then it must have 2 as a factor. Well, that's just my P part again. If not Q, then P. So the first part of my statement was what I needed for my contrapositive, but not the second part. So that is not my contrapositive, so that is not my answer. The next one, if a number is even, well, that's just my Q part again. So I know it can't be the contrapositive because I want if not Q. This one is if Q, in this case, then P, so that is not my contrapositive. Looking at the next one, if a number is even, well, that's the if Q again, so I know this isn't the contrapositive. Then it must not have a factor of 2. Then not P. Well, that at least that's the part I want, but I wanted if not Q, then not P, so I know that one is not my contrapositive. Now let's look at C. If a number is not even, if not Q, then it must not have a factor, must not have 2 as a factor. Then not P. That is my contrapositive, so I know my answer is C.